Hi, it's Roya. Last week, I had my very first video vlog, and it was on Mother's Day, so it was a little hard for me. But I thought it'd be important to, if I'm going to start this diary, to kind of tell you a little bit about myself and my husband, and just a little history. So I am 43, both my husband and I actually, and we live in Manhattan. We have been married now since 2011 in July. So from July to now, well, I would say maybe October, we tried to have a family. And we were having a lot of failures. It was not working for us. And come, I think, February of the next year, we decided to seek fertility treatment and see a clinic and go to a local place here in New York. They have a reputation for being the baby factory. For those who probably live in Manhattan, who've heard of it, they know what clinic that is. Anyway, we went there, and I had two IUIs a few months apart, and they were both negative. Nothing really came out of that. And then we tried IVF, and through the IVF, I didn't have a lot of success with that either. The first one ended up being a chemical miscarriage. And for those who don't know, chemical miscarriage, it's basically where nothing really develops much, doesn't last very long. It's probably within that, your 2 week wait. It's just a chemical miscarriage. Doesn't really develop into a fetus or anything like that. Um, and also, then I did it again, another round of IVF a few months later, and it was an ectopic pregnancy. Luckily, we caught it early, so I did not have to have surgery. It was just, I think it was a methotrexate shot. I think that's what it's called. It's been so long. Anyway, it helps dissolve, unfortunately, the fetus because it was developing in my right fallopian tube. That could be very dangerous because if you erupt, and it can be deadly for me. So anyway, that was very devastating for me. So for me, I decided to hire a naturopath. So I had a naturopath who helped me change my entire way of eating, just changed my lifestyle altogether. I felt like it made a huge difference. I mean, I have systemic lupus, and it's been in remission for a long time. And, it's, I haven't really had any issues, knock on wood, thank God for that. But it's, evident that in my fertility journey here that it's kind of been, revealing itself. So, but at the time I didn't know. So I had the naturopath help me become gluten-free, soy, dairy-free, no coffee, no caffeine, any of these things that my body was having a problem with. She would check to see if I had inflammations from certain foods and certain things. And so we cleaned that out of my system. My blood levels showed really great results from where it was before with high elevated liver enzymes. So now I'm doing really well. So I'm thinking this is great. This is all working for me. So let's try again. And so, I'm with a company that I'm very grateful and lucky to be with. And they have the greatest insurance plan that covers fertility. So I've been blessed to be working for this company and to be lucky to um, have such an insurance like that. So for that, I decided to do one more round of IVF. And so when I did that, the results actually were a lot better, with this whole change of lifestyle. I was not only eating better, but I was taking, great supplements, and I was doing royal jelly. I was taking CoQ10, ubiquinol, not the ubiquinone. I was taking, of course, omegas and prenatals, but I was also taking, probiotics, digestive enzymes, NAC, it's an antioxidant. What else was I taking? I think I've taken every single thing in the book that helps with fertility. So I did that, and then the results were really great, actually. I had, 10 follicles that were developing, and, it turned out really great. I had 5 fertilized, and they looked fantastic. But then again, that turned into a chemical miscarriage. So at this point, I was really devastated, just emotionally drawn, just exhausted, and the whole thing just felt drawn out. Just this kept going, just nothing was happening. So at that point, when I spoke with my doctor, she says, well, you are at a certain age. I think it's important for you to think about egg donor. That pissed me off. Honestly, that kind of pissed me off. So I was not ready for an egg donor. I felt that I was still too young, even though I was probably, when was that? I was 41. I was definitely not ready for that. So I wanted to keep, I wanted to try again. I wanted to try on my own and see what I could do. And I wanted to actually prove her wrong, because she told me that our embryos wouldn't make it to even blast, which, for those who don't know what blast is, it's when the embryos mature within 5 days, the cells divide, and based on how well they divide, they have a grading system. So on day 5, and if your embryos make it to day 5, generally, as they say, your chances of a successful pregnancy is higher than if you do a transfer on day 3, because you don't know if those embryos have made it all the way, would make it to day 5 or not. Well, for me, she was telling me, because I was only doing day 3 transfers with her, that mine would not even make it to day 5, that they were not good quality at all. At the time, I don't know if anyone knows what AMH is, but my AMH level was 1.19. And I guess for someone who's 41, that is pretty standard number. So anyway, so then I did it, had the cubical miscarriage, very upset, had a conversation with her. And I mean, I was on a mission. I just knew at that point I wanted to prove her wrong. There's no way. I asked her, I said, so are you telling me that there's no way I can improve my egg quality? She's like, well, you can improve your egg quality, but the chances of that happening is slim because of your age and your levels of AMH dropping, because as you get older, your AMH levels continue to drop. I just didn't buy it. So I was determined to do everything in my power to make sure that I go to the best doctor. I do whatever I can to get my eggs, working properly. Like, not my eggs working properly, but like my reproductive system to work properly, so that I can try and produce good quality eggs. And I think a lot of people out there, women who are in similar situations, can understand how frustrating that is when the doctor tells you that maybe you should consider egg donor. I mean, I understand this is something that they have to tell everyone who, when it comes, they reach that stage, but something you just don't want to hear. You just whether you want to accept it or not. And in my case, I chose not to accept it. I wanted to keep trying, and that was it. So at that point, I switched doctors. I found as they say, the top doctor in the country, which was in Denver, as from what research tells me, and I went to his office, and they were great. They were an amazing clinic. I mean, I can't think of anyone, as more organized and efficient in the way they do things. So I was very pleased with that. And as far as results, astronomical. I mean, it was the fact that before, in the clinic that I was at before, I was producing 7 eggs, 5 eggs, 6 eggs. I don't know what it was, but it was just very small. And when he did my AMH levels, I was at 1.8. They say it's different labs. Okay, I'll take it. It's different labs, but 1.8 to 1.19 is a huge difference. So I don't know if it's because I was on this new supplement that I started back in August, that, because mind you, it's now October. So actually, no, May is when I started it with a naturopath. And then in October is when I went to go see this new doctor who took my new levels. And he says my levels were very good for someone my age. So it was better than it was when I was at the previous clinic. So I don't know if that helped. I have no idea. Just a theory. Maybe it did, but I did it. And so they were able to, I did my first IVF with that clinic in February, and they retrieved 21 eggs. Of course, mind you, the dosage was a little bit higher, but I had a lot of eggs. I was pretty impressed with that. Of course, mind you, only, I think, 6 made it to blast, 5-day blast and 6-day blast, but 1 out of those were a good embryo, because we have them tested, which is CCS, which is kind of like PGD, which basically tests to see if all of the chromosomes are all, equally properly there, and and just kind of make sure that it's, you know, a good viable embryo. And it was. So we were very happy, very excited that I finally got to produce one. And then we did it again in, because we were now at this point banking, right? We wanted to have backup extras. So we did it again in June, and we got one more. That was exciting. And then we did it again in July, and unfortunately I did not have very good results. So that was pretty sad. And we decided not to do any more IVFs at that point, and decided to do a transfer of the two embryos. From what our doctor tells us, of course, you know, if you do one embryo, you have a 40% chance. If you do two, you get 60, right? That you'll have at least one of them. You'll have one of them stick. So we did. You know, we did that. We did the transfer on October 6th this last year, and it turned into a pregnancy. So it was really great. We were very happy, and they were twins. And by week 7, it turned into a blighted ovum. So that was very sad, very, very sad. It was very hard for me. It was devastating because, you know, I went through intralipids for the whole time I was there, the whole time I was pregnant. I was doing intralipid IV infusions, which is basically soy and egg base liquid medicine that is supposed to suppress your immune system because of my lupus. I was on prednisone. I was on Lovenox because they found out that I have blood clotting issues. I have thrombophilia. So many things. I was on metformin because I had some mutated gene of some sort, that something with diabetes. I still somehow I can't. I just don't get it. But you know, I had to take that, and supposedly that actually helps your egg quality. It's great for people who have diabetes, and also great for people who have PCOS. Women have PCOS, but supposedly it's supposed to improve your egg quality. I don't know. So I was on that, but it was to help me with my system as I was going through my pregnancy. So everything was going great up until the blighted ovum, and then I had the miscarriage, and that was very devastating to me, very hard to take. You know, I went through a depression. It was just a really hard thing, and only recently have I been able to openly discuss, you know, our loss without breaking down and crying, basically. So that was that, and you know, then I decided to go to a reproductive immunologist to see maybe it's obviously my immune system. Even my doctor said, who does not believe in any immune issues being problems to pregnancies, but he said that this was your immune system. He said there's no explanation as to why you could have lost both of those embryos. And I was also upset because they were the only two that I had, and I lost them. I lost that. Anyway, yeah. So back to this. So I went to a reproductive immunologist in Chicago, one of the top doctors around that is very heavily involved in that industry. And, you know, so she suggested I do IVIG instead of intralipids. That could have really helped me because at the time of the miscarriage, when they were testing my blood levels, my lupus activity, something in there, just showed that it was very high, very, very high. And I was showing symptoms such as I had headaches, cramping in the leg, and my temperature was so high, but it wasn't high like a fever. It was just super high all day, and I was having intense hot flashes. But at that early in your pregnancy, that's not, from what the doctor told me, that's your body trying to fight the embryo. So in the end, I spoke to my rheumatologist, and she says it's not the right route to go at this point, because I had the green light before, but now not anymore. So they said it's best for you to not continue having a baby because your body won't be able to handle it and you won't be able to carry it. And if you do, it could be very troublesome, and what kind of damage it would have to your body. Anything's possible. You know, I could have gotten lucky. I could have just said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. But I don't think that was a risk I was willing to take. When my doctor is telling me, listen, you know, at this point, when you're going to be 44 when you deliver, I'm just really concerned about your kidneys because of the history that you've had. That I think maybe adopting or surrogacy would be the right route for you. And that's when I just said, you're right. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done. So we went ahead and. And then that's the point where I started doing research on whether we want to do independent and agencies, and it's a lot. It's like entering an entire new world completely. It's just, you know, from me learning all about everything there is about IVF, right? Now I'm going into surrogacy, which is just another realm. It's exciting in a way. You know, it's not exciting that I had to come here at all for the reasons that I'm coming to it. I'm entering into it, but I have to be positive. I can't sit there and be sad about what happened in the past. I can't keep crying over what happened, why we're going through all these things, and so nothing. So now we had our last IVF in Denver just this April, and we got one good embryo. Yay! Oh, and by the way, my AMH levels, just FYI, when I did, when I did my AMH levels in Denver and they had at 1.8, I asked, why is it so high? I had 1.19 a year ago in New York, and they said, oh, different labs. I said, are you sure it has nothing to do with me changing the way I eat, the way my lifestyle is, that it increased a little bit? They said, no, absolutely not. AMH levels never go up, they only go down. I said, okay, that's fine. Okay. So I went straight to New York and I went and had my AMH levels tested at the same clinic, and it was 1.4. I don't know. So fast forward, now we have one embryo, and so now we are looking into an agency. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of give you a brief thing of what we're doing, and now I'm just figuring out which agency to use. It's a lot of work, FYI. And if you want to do independent, it's even more work. And if you're already doing it now, I'm sure you can understand that, yeah, it's a lot of work, and making sure that you're picking the right surrogate that isn't going to have any health issues or any other problems, and it's really hard. It's really tough to make that kind of choice. And I applaud all those women and couples and individuals who are taking the independent route. I tried, and it was hard. It was very hard for me because I become very indecisive, and I'm not that organized, in a sense where you have everything all I just can't. At this point, we both agreed, my husband and I, we're just going to do an agency. So now we're just doing an agency. We just got to pick it out. And that's pretty much it. I guess for now, at this point now my journey is just talking about what's going on in my head, things that upset me, things that make me happy, things that just make me want to focus and stay forward to what I'm doing. And that's really it. I hope you join me again next week, or when I do this again, probably a couple of days or a week from now. Who knows? It's a diary. So I'm just going to continuously, it could be 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 18 minutes. But I hope you enjoy me. And if you have anything to share, I would love that. I'd love to hear from you. And that's it. You guys have a great day. Thanks. Bye.